Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about advertising, specifically how we all like to think that we're immune to advertising. We all go down to the supermarket and we see that buy one get one free deal and we go, well, we don't really need that, but you know, they're trying to manipulate us into getting it because, oh, it's a good deal, we can get 2 of them for the price of 1, even though we didn't really want any of them, right? And we all like to think that we're immune in some way and that we're above what these companies have to shill to us. But you know what? These deals exist for a reason. These companies are also successful for a reason. And it's because they're good at what they do. They're good at manipulating us into doing what they want, which is to buy their garbage, right? So you go down to the supermarket or like Walmart or whatever if you're in America, and you see some deal like, oh, you can get two haddock for £6, right? Or you can buy 1 and it's £4, just as a basic example, right? And you only want 1 haddock, right? You don't really want 2. You're probably not going to eat 2, right? But you think, oh, well, I can get another one and it's not really that much more. So, you know, I'll get 2. It's a good deal, right? And then you bring it home and you have your 1 haddock, and then there's that other haddock that just sits there in the fridge taunting you. And you know, every day for the next sort of 4 or 5 days, you're kind of guilting yourself. It's like, oh, I need to have that haddock before it goes off. I need to eat it before it goes off. And it's going to go off at a certain point, right? And you don't eat it, right? You have the haddock the first day, and then the second day maybe you have some chicken. And then maybe the third day you have some, I don't know, some pasta. And then the 4th day, maybe you, I don't know, go out to eat with your friends or something like that, right? And by the 5th day, the haddock's gone off, right? And you sit there and you look at this haddock, it's starting to go slimy. You know, it's still just about good, and you think, oh, I should eat that haddock. But then you start to think, is it worth me eating that haddock? Because what if I get sick from eating that haddock, right? But then you think, well, I bought the fucking thing. I should probably eat it, right? You know, you've spent an extra £2 on this haddock. Bear in mind, it was £3 for one, it was £4 for 1 haddock, and it was £6 for 2 haddock. So you thought that you were getting a bit of a good deal, right? You're aware, that's the thing, you're so vividly aware that they do these deals on purpose to try and get you to buy more stuff, and yet you've bought this damn thing because you wanted some haddock and you thought, oh, I can get more haddock. Maybe I'll be in the mood for a haddock another time. So, and then I wouldn't want to have to go out and spend another £3 on a haddock, or another £4 on a haddock, because then if I bought 2 haddock, it'd be £8 rather than £6. So it just seems like common sense to get the 2 haddock now, right? And you know, you let that haddock go off, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I've wasted this haddock, and you throw it in the bin. And you know that feeling when you throw something that was perfectly good at one point that you bought and you were looking forward to eating, and you throw it away because you just didn't get round to eating it because there's other stuff to eat, you know? You bought the haddock, but you also had some chicken that was going to go off, so you needed to eat that on the 2nd day. So you had to eat that chicken. There was no other option but to eat that chicken right then and then. You think, oh, maybe I'll get the haddock the 3rd day. And then the 3rd day comes around and you're kind of not in the mood for haddock, you're in the mood for something else. So you eat something else, maybe a salad or something like that, right? You weren't massively hungry, you didn't really want a big thing of fish. You felt a bit like fish would be a bit sickly for you right then and there. And then the 4th day comes and the haddock's starting to look a little bit, and you kind of go, oh, right, okay. And you know, this has happened to me multiple times, and I'm sure it's happened to you multiple times. And you've taught yourself the same lesson, which is to not fall for these ploys, right? And you teach yourself that lesson, and it happens again and again and again, but in different contexts, in different circumstances. Maybe it'll be a different supermarket. Maybe it'll be, oh, well, this time it's £4 for 1 haddock and it's £5 for 2 haddocks. So that just seems, surely you should buy the 2 haddocks then because it's only an extra £1, right? Or what about, you know, what if it's £4 for 1, £4.50 for 2? At a certain point, it just becomes common sense to buy the 2 haddocks. It's only 50p for a whole other haddock, you know? And haddock is just one example here. This happens to all sorts of things. Say it's not something like haddock, which is kind of healthy and, you know, you feel good buying it because you're like, oh, I'm going to eat that and I'm going to be living a healthy lifestyle. What if it's something like, I don't know, get 2 chocolate bars, one's £1, or you get 2 for £1.50, right? And chocolate's not really going to go off anytime soon. That chocolate will stay around for ages. It's not got the same problem as the haddock, right? So now you're stuck with 2 big chocolate bars for £1.50, and you're like, oh, now I've got to eat all this chocolate. And that's going to make you feel like crap because you've eaten a load of chocolate, you know? So it's this thing that the companies do to get you to spend more money. And they know that you know what they're doing, right? But they do it in different ways each time. You know that famous one of like, you know, say they want to put something on sale as like, 80% off. Well, they need to have it at the 80% on. So say something is 80% off and it's £2. Well, for like 3 months, by law, they have to sell it for £10. And you look at that thing that's £10, you're like, why is that so expensive? And it's like, oh, well, because they're going to do a big reduction on it. And then you see the reduction, and it's still, that instinct is, oh, that's only £2, right? We go through things and sort of look at these products, and we're so aware of the fact that they're ripping us off, and yet we fall for it again and again, right? I mean, takeaway companies are terrible for this. I say terrible, they're actually incredibly intelligent when it comes to this because it makes them so much money. Say I think it's Pizza Hut or Domino's or one of these companies, they do two for one Tuesdays or something like that, right? Where you can buy 2 pizzas for the price of 1 on a Tuesday, right? So that's 1 in 7 days, right? That you can get that deal. No one's really buying takeaway pizza on a Tuesday. That's like a weekend thing, That's something that you do when you're out with your friends or you've got someone over and you want to sit down and relax and have a nice time. You're not doing that on a Tuesday, right? So it's very rare that it comes around to it being on that Tuesday. So loads of people are buying 2 pizzas, right? They're not going to sit there and go, oh, well, let's do it on Tuesday when we're both at work, and we'll get the 2 for 1 Tuesday thing then when we're both too tired and not in the mood. And it's just, do you understand what I mean? Because I recently got some Pizza Hut or something, right? And they had this weird, complicated deal. And they do this, takeaway companies. They like to make deals really, really complicated so that you have to spend a load of time trying to figure out the deal. And the more time you spend trying to figure out the deal, because you're buying it maybe in the context of, being surrounded by your friends, and you don't want to look like a cheapskate who goes around searching for the best deal. So even if your friends are all kind of into it too, there's still that subconscious thing of, I don't want to look like a cheapskate. I want to look like a giving person. I don't want to look like, oh, I'm not going to get you that pizza because that's not part of the deal. Oh, you really want that pizza? Okay, I'll get you that pizza even though it's not part of the deal. But I still want the deal, so I'll buy another pizza that I don't even really need just so that I can get the deal and you can get your pizza as well and I get my deal, right? They do little things like that, and it's social manipulation in that sort of context. When I bought this Pizza Hut, right, I was with my girlfriend, and we're sitting around, and like I thought, I don't really want to cook. I just want to get a pizza. It's been a long week. I really want just a takeaway pizza, right? And just to treat myself because it's been a really long week. So got the pizza, right? But to get the pizza, I had to first. I went on Just Eat, right? And Just Eat, I was searching through various restaurants until I found a restaurant that I kind of wanted, and it was Pizza Hut. And I knew that Pizza Hut it's got its own online portal. And I thought, well, it'd be better to get it on the online portal rather than spending extra money on the delivery and like not getting some of the deals or whatever from a third party. It seems more logical to get it from the first-hand source rather than to get it from a third-hand source, right? So, all right, so I've gone on Just Eat and I've been browsing for 10 minutes and we've decided on Pizza Hut. So now I go off of Just Eat and I go onto the Pizza Hut website, and suddenly I start seeing this other deal. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's completely reset my plan. My original plan was to get 2 pizzas for, say, £24 or whatever, right? And there's this deal, it's like £25 and you get half price off. Well, I need to spend £25. So that way I can pay like £12.50. So that, that's what's in my head. I want to pay £12.50 because this says I get 50% off if I spend £25. But so far, everything that's in my basket is £24. So I need to do something there. Well, all the sides are like £8, £9, right? And I don't really want to buy 3 dips, right? Because I'm not going to use those dips. That seems like a waste of money. So I might as well get something that I actually will eat, right? So suddenly, bam, they've got me spending £33, right? And then it turns out, oh, these pizzas that I wanted that were £24 for 2 aren't part of the deal. That's the £25 get like half off. So I go back to the beginning, right? And at this point, it's been like half an hour. My girlfriend's kind of like probably a bit impatient. I probably look like a cheapskate, right? So I'm kind of getting a bit sort of irrational, right? So I end up finding new pizzas that are within the deal, right? And because I'm having to ask her again, what pizza in this deal do you want? She's like, oh yeah, this one. Oh no, sorry, this deal doesn't work. What pizza do you want in this deal? And the more that you do that, the more of a cheapskate you look, and the more of a cheapskate you look, the more irrational you become, the more likely you are to spend more money. That's how they work. That's how they operate. And in the end, I spent £33 on Pizza Hut, right? when I really only wanted to spend £12.50 because I wanted this 50% off £25 deal. And originally I was going to spend £24, right? Before the £25 50% off deal even came into existence, right? So what it made me think was, it made me realise that I'm just as susceptible to marketing and to branding and to advertising as every other sucker out there, right? No one is immune from this. I thought that I was fairly savvy. I mean, I've done a whole fucking video that went semi-viral about advertising and about how these companies manipulate you. And I got manipulated, right? So if I'm getting manipulated and I'm the one sitting there preaching about, oh yeah, these advertising companies, they know what they're doing, you know, and trying to avoid their tactics, right? If I'm the one getting conned out of it, people that aren't as savvy as me are going to definitely get conned out of it. And, you know, the only option to not get conned there was to spend the £24, which is the original idea, but there was that deal, and it's like, they play on your greed. It's the same way that, like, internet sort of email telemarketing scams work, right? Or that, you know, like the Nigerian prince is going to give you like 500 million quid or whatever. And, you know, say if that Nigerian prince really existed and he was going to give you 500 million quid, do you think he got that 500 million quid in an ethical way? You know, he would have gotten that off the backs of like slavery in the fucking coal mines or something like that. And you're profiting off of that horrible injustice. Obviously it's all fake, right? But if it was real, you would be profiting off of really awful, horrendous things, right? And they're playing off of your greed. We're all greedy at the end of the day. Humanity, I think, is prone to greed. Whether that's because of the capitalistic system we live in or it's innate to us, I'll let you argue about in the comments, because that's a very interesting topic for another day. But at the end of the day, right now, in the current state, we are a greedy civilization. We are a greedy people, right? And they like to manipulate us, use our own greed against us to get us to part with our money, right? I parted with like nearly 3 times the amount of money that I wanted to part with because of my greed, right? And I have only myself to blame for that, right? And the same with a haddock. I spent 1/3 more than I wanted to, and I didn't even end up getting around to the second haddock. And if I had had the second haddock, I wouldn't have enjoyed it, right? Because I'd been forcing myself to eat it. I would have probably felt like crap because I've been eating a fish when I'm not in the right body mood for fish, right? Sometimes you're not in the right, like your body isn't, you know, prerequisited for a certain food, right? You're like, I can't quite handle the fish right now, so I'm not gonna have it, right? So it's kind of like that, you know? There was a bloke behind the camera who just did a thumbs up, that's why I did the thumbs up. So I just find it interesting how, if I'm like that, if I'm more manipulatable than I thought I was, then there's other people out there that are more confident than me that are going to get manipulated because they're so confident in their ability to, you know, work their way around the manipulation that advertising companies put onto us, that they're going to get manipulated through that fact, right? Because they know what they're doing. These companies know exactly what's up. They know what's up with us. Do you think that, like, you know, the board of Pizza Hut don't ever order a takeaway and try and get the deal, right? Do you think that, you know, CEOs, or not necessarily CEOs, but like the marketing firms at various places, at various companies that sort out these buy one, get one free deals for Sainsbury's or Asda or whatever, do you think they don't go shopping as well and have a look at buy one, get one free deals and get manipulated and recognize the manipulation that other companies are doing and go, oh, that's a good idea, we should start doing that, right? It's exactly the same. Like, for instance, right now, I got Lidl Plus, right? I got it in the end because, you know, you can get like a free bit of fruit or whatever, right? So I spent £50 just to get a free bit of fucking fruit, right? And now, because I want to get that free bit of fruit, I'm more likely, even if it's only 5% more likely, to go to Lidl than I am to go to the Sainsbury's across the road, right? Because I have more points on my Lidl Plus card than on my Nectar card, so I'm more likely to go to Lidl, right? And even if that's only 5% more likely, right, just based on, well, they all have the same things, you know, I'm going to go to Lidl because I can get the Lidl Plus thing. I'm only going to go to Sainsbury's now if there's something that's only at Sainsbury's. Or, for instance, Sainsbury's do better sort of yellow label deals on bread than Lidl does, right? So I'm more like, if I'm going to get bread, I'm more likely to go to Sainsbury's because I'm more likely to find, you know, like a full loaf for like 30 pence, right? That's the only reason I'll go to Sainsbury's now over Lidl, because I've been put into this ecosphere of Lidl, right? And even if it's only 5% more likely, that's one person, which is 5%. Can you imagine, and say it's even like a way smaller number, like 0.05%. I'm one shopper amongst tens of millions, right? So 0.05% of 10 million, right? That's 1% is 1 million, so 100,000, and then 0.1% is 10,000. So 5,000 people, right, are going to go to Lidl over Sainsbury's in, say, however, like a month, right? So that's an extra 5,000 customers. And if each of those customers spends £10, that's an extra £50. And that's just in one tiny little ecosystem right there. Take it across the entire thing. Why? I mean, they obviously have to spend money on upkeep for the servers, for these, Lidl Plus apps and all that stuff. That's probably costing them quite a bit of money, right? But they're obviously making more money out of the fact that we're going to Lidl over somewhere else because we're put into that ecosystem of Lidl Plus or of Morrison Savers or of Tesco Clubcard, right? I've got a mate and he pretty much exclusively shops at Tesco, right? Because he is able to get so much off because of the Tesco Clubcard thing. He ends up getting basically a free Christmas shop because of the Clubcard points and all that stuff. So because you can get that free Clubcard thing and that free Christmas shop, he's gonna shop at Tesco over anywhere else. My driving instructor, for instance, he'll only fill up at this one particular petrol station, which is aligned with Sainsbury's, because it gets him loads of points on his nectar, right? We all do this, right? And these are smart people. These are not stupid people. And these people know how the system works. They know the advertising things that are working here, but because they see it as it's also benefiting them, they end up giving their money to certain companies over others. And at the end of the day, Sainsbury's or Lidl or whoever don't care that you know that they're manipulating you. All they care about is that you gave them their money, your money, right? That's all they care about, right? So I just find it really weird that there's so many people that think they're immune to advertising when we're not. We're not immune to advertising. Nobody is. No sucker on the planet is. Not the biggest marketing director of the biggest marketing, most successful firm in the universe, right? They're still just as susceptible to that Pizza Hut 25% off thing as me and as you, right? We are all susceptible to this. And I think to be so confident in the fact that, in the idea that we're not susceptible to it is harmful. I think that it's a bad thing to be. I think it's bad to think that and bad to be like that because it means that you're going to get ripped off in ways that you won't even know until after it's happened, which is exactly what happened to me, right? So that's what happens. That's how the advertising industry kind of works, is that it works on manipulation. All of it works on manipulation. And it's all conscious. No one's trying to hide the fact they're manipulating you. Right? They might not say in the advertising, "Hi, my name is Mr. Sainsbury, and here I am trying to manipulate you into buying this haddock." No, they'll just manipulate you into buying the haddock, and you know that you're being manipulated. They know that they're manipulating you, but at the end of the day, they got your money and you got your haddock, and you wanted more haddock, didn't you? Because you bought the fucking thing, didn't you? You wanted that extra haddock. Even though you didn't eat it, you thought when you were buying the haddock that you were going to eat it. You had this romanticized image in your head of having an extra haddock. Right? And you thought, oh, I might be in the mood for another haddock at some point. But, if I wanted another haddock, I'd have to go back to Sainsbury's, and I probably won't get around to doing that. So I'd like to have another haddock. That's exactly how it works. And you know what? I don't know the solution. There's no solution, really. I think the only thing that we can do is just be conscious of the fact that they are manipulating us, and for everyone to be a little less fucking smug about the idea that they're immune to advertising when we're not. Because, hell, in an old video that I did, I said that I was more immune to advertising than normal people. And I'm not, right? We're all susceptible to it. And I just wanted to make this video to make that clear, right? If you watched an advert before this video and you thought, oh, who the fuck's ever gonna buy that? You're part of the problem as well, right? I do the same thing. I watch an advert and I go, oh, who the fuck's ever gonna buy that? Well, obviously it's working because I keep saying the same bastarding fucking adverts all the time. Right? We see the same adverts again and again and again. You think, why are they spending so much money on this advertising? It's because they're making a profit on it. That's the only reason that they keep putting these marketing things out. Why do you think Temu got so big? Right? Because they just pushed the same fucking adverts in front of your face, day in, day out. Every time you go on YouTube, every time you go on TikTok or whatever, every time you go on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, right? You see Temu all over the place. And now, right, even though it's clearly like the most conny sort of scammy-esque type thing out there, right? For legal reasons, this is Joshua Morrison's personal opinion. He does not actually think it's a scam, blah, 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 right? Now I see people using Temu, right? When Temu came out, everyone was like, oh, it's just a fucking con, no one should be buying it, it's all such a rip-off, how can something be like £1 or whatever, there's clearly some like asterisk there. But now people are using it, right? And the only thing that's gonna happen is once they corner the market, they're going to do the exact same thing that Amazon did before them, which is come out with a load of low prices, and then when they dominate the market, they'll pump their prices up and they'll make their service garbage, right? Metro Bank, for instance, came out in the UK and they were great because they opened later than everyone else. They had all these extra services and they were cheaper to have a premium account than everyone else, right? And then they cornered the market and then suddenly reduce the opening hours. Get rid of that fucking cash thing that they do where you can pour a load of cash into a bucket and then you get like your notes out of it or get put straight into your bank account. They got rid of all of that stuff because they didn't need it anymore, because they dominated the market, right? So I think what we need to do is have more companies rather than less. We need, less monopolies and we need more, multi-opolies, I suppose. We just need more competition in general, because competition is what drives capitalism at the end of the day. And, we're stuck with capitalism for the time being, so we might as well try and make it as good as we can and, start to feign off all this fucking bullshit, these giant fucking companies that are out there that are conning us in various different ways, right? Amazon Prime, for instance, isn't that a rip-off? You're basically paying like £80 just for, to get your shipping done before you even buy a product. And most people probably don't spend £80 on shipping per year from Amazon, right? The few people that do are the ones that are getting a good deal out of it. But you know what? They're a minority. They're a minority in the situation, right? As are you. You are not the mass consumer. You are an individual, right, who's buying a haddock that they don't fucking need. So that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video, but I hope you managed to get something out of it. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that you're immune to advertising? And if you do, did this video influence you in any way? And if it did, isn't that just proof of advertising? If you watched this video and you kind of thought, oh, he's got a point there, then I've done the exact same thing that Sainsbury's did with the haddock, right? I've manipulated you into changing your view, into changing your opinion, the same way that Sainsbury's changed my opinion on whether I wanted to buy one haddock or two, right? So that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care and bye-bye.